All right, you are looking at twin protests going on now in Karbala, Iraq, and Baghdad, Iraq. These have been getting thousands of mourners gathering the shooting of Major General Qasem Soleimani and Abu Mansur al-Madas. But they're saying that the United States has all but worn out its welcome in the region. Again, these could be ginnied up type of protests, well choreographed and organized, but it might be eerily familiar to my next guest, a former hostage in Iran from 1979 to 1981, all of 20 years old at the time when the Tehran embassy was seized. Kevin Hermening with us right now. Kevin, very good to have you.
Good morning, Neil. Thank you for the invitation.
You know, when I followed your story, I remember, following you very closely. We're about the same age. You just look younger. And I remember what it was like and how surreal it was for you that whole period where you feared for your life. And then there was the forced Christmas gathering. I think your mom had come and all that. But it went wildly out of control. And what started out as protest outside the embassy quickly evolved into something else. How do you police something like that? You were a Marine Guard at the time. There was no way you could have forecast that a government would countenance that. But a lot of people are looking at what's going on in Baghdad and wondering if the same could happen again. What do you think?
Well, certainly the same thing could happen again unless we have the support of the host government deal. And in Iran, it was very clear very quickly that the Iranian government was actually going to participate in not only taking the Americans hostage, but also in sanctioning it and the actions of what were at the time young students, 20-year-old, my age, young people who decided to gather on the compound and initially tried to have a sit-in, but they definitely had an action that was then sanctioned by the government. The Iranian military participated, the Bazargan government fell, and the Ayatollah Khomeini saw that event as an opportunity to really coalesce all of the challenges and problems he was facing in his short Islamic Republic around the hostage crisis.
You know, I remember very well when this was dragging into days and then weeks and then months and over a year. I always felt that Khomeini kind of liked the distraction because the economy there was really going nowhere fast. A lot of people would remember the better conditions under the Shah of Iran, were obviously getting angry, but this was a welcome distraction. I'm wondering now whether you see any similar ingredients here. There's no government participation or support for movement to overthrow the embassy, of course, but there wasn't back then either for a while.
Well, no, but you're right that the Ayatollah did see the hostage crisis, the holding of the Americans for the entire 444 days as a way to distract the attention of the Iranian people who were hoping for a big change. And by that I mean it wasn't all of the Iranian people. I, even to this day, think that perhaps maybe 15 to 20% at the top end of the Iranian people support the mullahs and the Ayatollahs. In fact, I think what you're going to see coming out of this situation, the killing of Soleimani, is that there could be protests rear themselves in Iran, not for the funeral that is now going to take place that will be staged by the Quds Force, the mullahs, the Ayatollahs, but by the common Iranian person who is really going to see that the Ayatollahs and the powers that be really aren't so strong after all. And my biggest hope, and I have a lot of confidence in Secretary Pompeo, very educated man, very accomplished in his own right, that he is preparing for the possibility of a post-Islamic revolutionary Iran, and we could see the Iranian people rise up and throw the yoke of this totalitarian regime off of their shoulders.
Well, to your point, we've been waiting for that for quite some time, I guess, even dating back to your experience as a young man in Tehran. But I do want to ask you this, Kevin, if you can help me. You have made it a point every year to recognize those who were part of the military rescue, 3 you guys. I believe 8 had died in that desert mission that Jimmy Carter had pushed. 3 Marines, 5 airmen. And you don't want people to forget what was sacrificed to ultimately bring you guys home safe and sound. You did get home safe and sound, but it was scary, wasn't it?
Well, next year in April will be the 40th anniversary of the sacrifice that these men made on our behalf. They didn't succeed in getting us out, but what what they did succeed in doing, and I had the privilege of sharing this message with some of the others who were fortunate to come home from that rescue mission, in some cases badly injured and certainly emotionally scarred, having lost 8 of their fellow countrymen during that Operation Eagle Claw, that once we learned that the rescue mission had occurred, Neil, that's what gave us hope for the next 8 months. They didn't succeed in freeing us that day, but they gave us the emotional support we needed.
You know, Kevin, much has been said that you were all released on the day of the Ronald Reagan's inauguration, and that wasn't happenstance, that the Iranians just didn't know what they were dealing with and they didn't want to risk inciting his wrath. Do you think the same, in a way, applies to President Trump today, that this unexpected reaction to take out this guy is meant to send a signal that do not, come to conclusions about him?
Well, we have to remember this guy, the head of the Quds Force, he joined up the Iranian army to go fight the Iraqis in what was intended to be a 5-month stint back in 1980.
Right.
He ended up serving the entirety of the Iran-Iraq 8-year war, and then went on and became a very charismatic military leader. I don't think that anybody expected this kind of an action, but it is, of course, long overdue, and it was done in a defensive way, in my estimation. And frankly, Neil, it's a sad day in America anytime a U.S. president has to commit American force. And our troops were well trained, they're prepared. Yes, it was a drone strike. It didn't mean we had men and women on the ground for this particular action, but it still required a lot of training and commitment and dedication, and the ability to keep a secret. That played a big role. In 1988, when President Reagan sunk 1/3 of the Iranian Navy, because you might recall, they were planting mines in the Strait of Hormuz to try to disrupt international oil tankers. There was a lot of fear after the president sunk the Iranian Navy that the Iranian government was going to take action and perhaps thousands of Americans could die. I suppose in some respects that could have happened, but there was nothing like that happened, because the Iranian government, the mullahs, the ayatollahs, Mr. Soleimani, they all realized that President Reagan was serious and not going to just sit around and not take serious action when American lives or international commerce was being disrupted.
So do you think they'll have the same response here, that they don't want to push it?
I would be very surprised if we're going to see much of a response at all. As I said earlier, I really am hopeful for, and I really believe that the Iranian people might see this as their chance to kind of bring about change in their country. It was Soleimani who went to Khatami back in 2009, just 11 years ago, during the big revolution that happened over there. I should say the big protest that happened over there under Ahmadinejad. And it appeared in 2009 that we might see some kind of change in that country. And it was Soleimani who went to the Ayatollah and said if he didn't put down the student protests, the Iranian military was going to have a coup, and then even the Ayatollah himself would no longer be in power. So there are a lot of things that are at risk here, as well as a great opportunity.
Kevin, so good reminders all. Can't believe what you've been through and those other hostages. Glad you came out okay. This ends up okay. Kevin Hermening, the former Iranian hostage, the youngest, 20 years old at the time, little Monty.